judge, their findings and the results, as well as recommendations for the future. Be it known this afternoon that, and the head judge will further elaborate on that, that this afternoon's debate is an exhibition debate. Is an exhibition debate. Okay, we want to emphasize that it's an exercise in development for our young people. An exercise in the development of their public speaking skills, an exercise in the development of their analytical and logical developmental skills, an exercise in the development of their research skills. And so we don't want it this afternoon to seem like a war in any way, because I know at the end they're going to hug and kiss, both sides, all right, or they're both suspended. Okay, so we just want to emphasize that. It's not about competition, because I'm sure you enjoyed it. I'm sure you enjoyed, the tete-a-tete and the points that were brought out. Yeah, with some attitude sometimes, which gave flavor. But the points that were brought out, this is not a new argument, this is not a new mood. But it's always exciting to hear how the angle each side is going to take it from each time. And each time you get something fresh, something different when the debaters, when people debate these topics. Okay, and so that's what we want to encourage among the youth, not competition, but a healthy debate, healthy exhibition of their public speaking skills, development of these traits that we know are essential even in the academic development at schools and learning institutions. So at the end of it all, please help me and Pastor and the organizers to perpetuate the attitude of developmental and friendly banter and not competition and you stay over there and I stay over here and you should have won and okay, that's not what it's about this afternoon. Agreed? Yeah. Amen. Agreed? Yeah. Amen. Right, because we want to do this some more and again. And we don't want people being afraid to come from Basseterre because they're going to be stoned. Or afraid to go to Basseterre because they're going to be stoned. That's not what Christian get together is about. I don't want to use the word competition. Instead of keeping away from that word, I don't want to use Christian debating is about. And so we want to establish that this afternoon as we go forward and as we plan for future debates, that it's going to be exhibition debates. It's not about who won or who lost. It's about developing your debating skills. All right. Once the judges, are they ready? No? Okay. While the judges are out, maybe I should throw in some buzz phrases here and hear what you think. And have you have a go at it. Because you thought it was easy them coming up here. Let's have you go at it in deciding what your thoughts are on the topic that a person's environment determines their character, their personality, or a person's makeup, their genes, are what decides their personality. Because you have heard such things as you can't give a child a mind. No matter what you expose them to, a child has a mind of his own. You've heard that, haven't you? Right. And that suggests that he has a gene that no matter what you expose him or her to, they have a mind of their own and they're going to do what they want. Then there is the one, by beholding, we become, which suggests that environment plays a major part in how a person develops. Another one, I've written them down, another one is the opposition said that people are products of their environment. Okay, which suggests of course that the environment is the determining factor in how somebody turns out. And the other one, another one is you put a pig in a palace and he remains a pig. So which suggests that if somebody is born a certain way, has a certain set of genes, there's nothing you can do about it. So these are some of the phrases that lean to either side of the argument. Okay, well, I get to be neutral this afternoon because I'm the one who is. Okay, so I'm not going to put what I think in the mix. I'm just going to give you a chance to tell me. I'm going to run my. You're going to, until the judges are ready, you have a chance to say your take on the matter. Whether you think it's nature, profoundly so, or it's nurture, profoundly so, that determines a person's personality, their character. Could be a mix, maybe you decide it could be a mix, but I'm coming to you, because I see you down, you have a lot of things to say to Jerry. Whether it's person's nature or nurture, we have a hand there in the back, that determines their character.
Thank you very much. I think it's important to add, along with what you attempted to describe, that it's a friendly debate and the audience must not determine that because the presenters would have done so with some emotion, that necessarily means that it deserves a certain kind of treatment. It's also important for us to recognize, brothers and sisters, that in a debate, one might be called upon to defend a point, to defend an argument which he or she does not believe in his own. In other words, just for debating purposes, they might very well come here and argue that religion is more harmful than helpful to individuals. They may want to come here and argue that marijuana should be legalized. It does not mean that the individual debaters actually hold that opinion in fact and true. But for the purpose of debate, they come and present an argument. I just want to point out this well, that it's difficult to argue, ladies and gentlemen, that either genetics or the environment is solely responsible for one's personality or development. Because clearly, it's a combination of factors, including both of them. But I think both sets of debaters did a fairly good job, and that is commended. I also want to point out something here. For years we've been told that Caribs were warlike. I would like to tell you, students in particular, that new research is suggesting that that was not the truth. As a matter of fact, the colonizing conquerors, quote unquote, were infinitely far more aggressive and warlike than the Caribs. And that the historians are now concluding that the Spanish in particular were as warlike and as fierce and as vicious as Boko Haram and ISIS now are. So that it is not correct to continue the myth that the Caribs were warlike people. That is in fact being proven to be not so. I just want to point out also that one of the world's most renowned terrorists, Osama bin Laden, he came from a very well-to-do household. His family was one of the most respected, one of the wealthiest in Saudi Arabia, and they started up to be one of the world's most renowned terrorists. At the same time, Mother Teresa, who is universally recognized as an angel in human form, came from a upbringing which was far from decent, far from perfect, far from friendly. And so here we have two individuals, both of whom are well known. One is popular, well, both of them are popular, but one is notorious, one is infamous. One is notorious and infamous, the other one is well liked, but they come from two totally different environments. That speaks to, well, I won't say what it speaks to, I leave judges to decide that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, well said. I'm looking for hands popping up like popcorn. I thought this is a hot topic, or you're leaving it to the debaters. Okay, just to clinch a point that Brother Blake said, the notion that the Caribs were warlike, and I guess it depends on which book you're reading, okay, which version of the book, and who's speaking, who's the author of that book. Okay, so a lot of, for years we have been exposed to European writers, right, who would lead us to believe that. But now that we have West Indian writers and other writers on the topic, our eyes are open. Okay, Sister Charolita?
What I found very interesting is the mention of epigenetics. I find it interesting because it seems as though science is going in a cycle. At one point in the 60s and 70s and 80s, the big talk was about environment and how the environment is the strongest influence and the environment is this and the environment is that. But what scientists are now finding is that it goes beyond the environment. And I'm saying, it seems as though now they are now agreeing with the Bible. That man was created. And so now they have abandoned the environment studies and they're now trying to figure out how and what triggers the genes. Now I found it very interesting as I was doing some of the research. So I think that we as Seventh-day Adventists, we are on the right track. We are not to be distracted by what the science said previously because they are now realizing something goes beyond what they think. There was no Big Bang Theory. Something happened. And they're trying to figure out how it happened. So let's stick with our points. As Adventists, as Christians, we are on the right path. And we have to encourage our young people. I know they're exposed to all sorts of things when they go to universities. But we have to give them the word. We have to encourage them to read for themselves and know the fundamental beliefs of the church. So that when they are exposed and they go to universities and so on, they will not become confused. Science, the brightest minds are saying something must have happened. Not a Big Bang. Thank you.
Okay, Brother Boy. And just to clench, sorry about this clenching, somebody just point that we need to make sure our children are grounded from now. So you'll be amazed that you're saying and you think they're not listening, but they were listening. Because later on you'll be like, oh well, I thought he didn't hear me, I thought she didn't hear me. So just keep pounding it. Because like she says, when they go to college, the wealth of information, the wealth of things, some of those professors, you'll be amazed what they feed your children. And so we have to make sure that they are grounded now. Trying the energy weight ever so often. Trying, and the Bible, I mean, for a long time there's been a contradiction between what the Bible says and what scientists think. So we know a long time that something was wrong with that Big Bang Theory. So, but the point is, let's plug as often as possible. The Bible says when you stand up, when you sit down, when you lie down with them, when you have a little conversation with them, keep plugging. Because when we think they are not listening, when we least expect it, they get it.
What do you expect the Europeans to write if the Calyns attack them? They never will write because they attack them. They came into their environment, robbed them of everything they had. And so what they're supposed to do? Just sit back and let you rob me and take everything from me and say that you discover here when you meet me? So that's what probably happened there. But I want to put another monkey wrench into this whole matter. Let's look at this. In heaven, was it environment or was it by hereditary that Satan became a devil? I'll just try something in the monkey wrench. In the Garden of Eden, the environment was perfect. What it was there? Was it by nurture or nature? So answer me.
Yes, the environment in the Garden of Eden was perfect, but there was another environment created within that environment, I say. What do you say? I say that there was another environment created within that perfect environment. Shirley does not agree.
Let's agree with that, man. How on earth can I agree with that? Think about it. Think about it. Because, I mean, the environment was perfect. And even Satan's presence could not have tarred the environment at the time. He could not have made a difference. But God created mankind with that element in their gene. And that is why scientists do not yet understand it. They don't understand. They know something is there, but they don't understand it. God gave us the choice. And that is what is in the gene. I thought we're not debating that. Don't get me started. We need an adult debate.
Okay, are we ready for the rebuttal? I environment, there was created another environment by the serpent, Satan. And I therefore, well, I represent Eve, I have to stand now and look at the true environment and make a decision as to which environment I was going to be involved in. And that's my rebuttal, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, the judge is not ready yet? Okay. Hands? Yeah, hand back here? Okay, well, first of all.
I would like to say that the Son of the Lord admonishes us not to discuss these type of things, because we're just going to go around in a circle without coming to any good conclusion. So it's best for us to let those things stay asleep. We do more damage than good by discussing these sort of things that Elder asks.
Did you hear that?
Archie.
Oh, Brother Archie. Shall we start coming back to you?
I just want to celebrate in passing the organizers. This was AY. It's called Values Consolidation. I went home to the college and they made divergent views. Their values get shattered, and when they come back home, they confuse the church. Because the values consolidation happens every 5 years, so AY is wasting time. The older members come back again to have the values sensitization and consolidation. Please take in mind, the children have eaten, the fathers have eaten a bit of food, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Is this an allusion to environment or persistent choices that shape the genes? That came to mind. But let me say up front, I don't hold with the Rasta man. Circumstances laid what I am, no such thing. Our choice determines our destiny. But before we forget, the two families that we have to examine history, one was the Wesley family. The lady had about 15 children. About 6 died, but she loved Jesus. And out of her public came brilliant songsters like Charles Wesley and brilliant theologians like John. That challenge the environment question. As against a particular criminal, they've studied over 10 generations, and most children, 90% went to jail. I want the genes to keep on the same bit of thing, don't affect the children. That's the question.
Yes, Mr. Pastor.
I am not participating in the discussion, quite stimulating. I stand to acknowledge the presence of our participating males. Young ladies, I am happy that you are here, but Brother Tyson and Brother Blake, I am very glad. Whenever there's going to see all ladies, I'm feeling I don't feel well. Our men are in crisis, so let us continue to encourage our boys. Other boys who are here, young boys who are here, get on board. This is the positive side, okay?
Okay, and in reference to what Brother Percival said, there are topics that Paul says, some of these things, now we see them as it was and last darkly. But then, when Christ comes face to face, but it doesn't mean that we're not gonna wonder and question, but it must not shake our faith. Okay, it should strengthen our faith that Christ has the answer, and one day we will get to see it clearly. Let's hear what Pastor says.
Well, I'm eagerly waiting for the results of the judges. I'm hoping they will come quickly. In moments like these, as we are saying, we continue to learn, we continue to open our minds and our understanding. There are times when we can be very close-minded to Seventh-day Adventism, and we do not want to open our minds to hear what other people are saying about other things, but in order to really make our faith even more concrete, especially when there's a lot of talking, especially when we are sending our children to universities, to colleges, they must understand what is happening. We want to allow them to have a clear biblical, there's still a lot of feedback. We still want them to have a clear biblical understanding. But it's important to know other sides of the story. Why? When we think of evangelism and we think of connecting with people with other values, we must know what they believe. As a matter of fact, there's some individuals or some of us or some of you who God will put in strategic positions to reach persons that I will not be able to reach at intellectual levels based on where you are serving. And in order to reach some of these communities, you have to understand the feelings, the ideologies, and you meet them at the point that they are. Because if you don't understand it, the first thing you do is scorn. The minute you scorn what I believe, then I'm not open to listen to you. We understand, even as Seventh-day Adventist Christians, we study the Catholic religion, we study the Muslim religion, and we're not studying it to believe it. We're studying it so when we meet a Muslim, when you meet a Catholic, you can have an intelligent conversation to identify, and there are times, even in some of these other religions, that there are similarities. That you can say, hey, we are similar in this area, but when you really look at the Bible and you look at it from this perspective, so even as we try to negotiate and we try to connect with different groups, it's important to understand the different ideologies and the different views. The challenge, based on what someone made a point earlier, the challenge is when we embrace these views to the point that they shape who we are. When our young people and older ones begin to listen to all kind of strange views. As a matter of fact, on the internet, everyone wants to open a YouTube channel. And on these channels, people say a lot of strange things and ideologies and concepts that we don't teach. The dangerous thing about it, because I'm trying to create a balance here, as much as it's important to learn and identify with other cultures, there's some individuals, when they go down that road, they get lured away. Not everyone would be strong enough to learn of another culture or another ideology and philosophy and remain strong. And you find that many persons, they come into the house of God and they go into places and they say some strange things. You wonder, why are they speaking these strange things? Because they are lured by these cultures. So the Spirit of God will have to direct. Some of us may be in a position to learn and identify. Some of us may not be in that position, but it's not to criticize those who are willing to go out of what we call the norm and to understand the thinking, that we can relate to the thinking. Remember, the Spirit of God has to guide us. Remember, each of us have an individual mission. And what God may call you to do, God may not call me to do. What God may expose you to do based on your whether it be education, based on your profession, based on your background, whatever it is, He may not allow me to end up in that situation. And I believe within the context of the church, in opportunities like these, I'm hoping the judges will come now. Opportunities like these, we allow the young people to expose their talent, their areas of giftedness in public speaking. And I think they spoke very well. Give them a round of applause for their speech. They had confidence, they had poise, they were argumentative, but in relation to bringing the point across, it was really wonderful to see the boldness of our young people. On the side of the boldness, I want to comment on the preparation that was put in relation to research, in relation, because it shows that our young people are growing intellectually, that when they go to these universities, they will not be behind. They are already shining stars. And moments like these in AY give our young people the opportunity to show their research skills and their abilities. And finally, even as young people, as you develop those skills, Blake and the others, even as you develop those positive traits, I want to encourage you, as you go to school, as you interact with your peers, that you continue to shine. As a church, we are motivating you, we are inspiring you, But in everything, do not ever forget your Christian values. Do not ever forget the foundation. And we know the foundation is the Holy Scripture. Nothing else. This is what we preach the most. And in all the discussions we've had this afternoon, and someone made a very interesting point that a follow-up session may be needed to just clarify in relation to the fall of man, in relation to the great controversy, where we can have some level of closure and greater understanding. So this is a good exposure that we can now, this is a foundation which going forward we can have a follow-up AY where we have the theologians of the church come now and give some explanations from the Bible. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, and I think that's what the pastors are here for at these debates. Once everything, once the arguments are presented and we give our little bit, they are the ones to bring some sort of closure and to bring closure to the whole thing. But
not very often you will add something to what the pastor said. Some words that cannot be condemned. But I was in a situation where an atheist friend of mine posed some of those very same questions. And there's answers to them. As Seventh-day Adventists, we have the Bible, and the Bible answers almost all the questions that anybody could ask. I'm telling you, almost all. No, he didn't tell me who's God's Father. And there's other things that you would ask me that he didn't tell me. But what I'm saying, those way old questions, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about reasonable and sensible questions. You see, that gift of choice that God gave to mankind, that he never gave to animals, that is one of man's greatest downfall. And so that it doesn't matter whether Lucifer was in heaven or Eve was in the Garden of Eden that was perfect. God gave them that choice. That is what the downfall. So it does not matter how perfect the environment is. Mankind still had that gift of choice. And they choose to do what it is. No influence any other place. And the Bible is clear on that.
okay, we have two more. We have time for just two more comments. Two more. I saw two hands, so two more comments.
I don't want to stray, but 2 points I want to make this afternoon. I like how young Mr. Blake and the leader of the proposition, Kenyatta, they handle when questions come. You realize how young Mr. Blake answered and refuted it? His voice is tone, he just dropped his voice. And he agreed, he balanced it, and then he gave his position. I love that. So when we are confronted with others, with our stance, our position, we don't just argue. With our voice intonation, you agree with them to disagree. So you agree or disagree agreeably. Good. You understand that? Very good. So I love those two, the balance of it. My next point is, and I don't want to belabor the point, I would like to know how they stand though. How they stand personally. I wish the pastor would have brought this, and I hope that somebody brings it to the staff. Genetic, their position, genetic, or environment. But I want to say, in answering this, John Locke, and Mr. Blake help me here, he speaks about the mind, we are not one. You know, term is rasa, tabula rasa. Is that a blank? Is that a blank slate? We are either here or there. And so we've got to know where we stand. And so, my humble position is that if my father is a drunkard, but I become a drunkard. But there's the breaking the cycle, there's the conversion and acceptance of Christ. Alright, so there's the balance here. So those 2 points, how you handle, how you refute, balance it, your voice, you know, you agree with them to disagree, and your position is that, listen carefully, the aspect of conversion. Thank you, Barbara.
I had a hand here, and that's going to be my, hopefully, my final.
I think that the debate was a very educational and informative one. And it's a topic that Christian youth will have to be engaging in some part of their life, especially when you go on to higher education and your wider society as you go to witness to people. Because there are challenges out there. So when I look at it, is that all the 2 points and the 2 sides have some sort of involvement in a person's character. But however, I am of the view that the environment is stronger, because my father or mother can be an alcoholic, and I can born an alcoholic, because but I know that children are born alcoholic, and they have to give them this alcohol to make sure they don't have that withdrawal syndrome and start to, and then later die. But then, how do you, all of us who became a Christian? Was it genetics or an environment? But listen to me, the environment created the choice. The environment created the choice. No. There wasn't, listen to the point, there's an environment and you're in it. You choose to go this way or that way. So, in my humble estimation, I believe that both sides tried very good to bring about reasons why we should believe their side. But I do believe that both sides have an argument, but at the end of the day, I believe the environment, because I believe the scripture that speaks to that, about the people who you surround with. The people who you surround. So I believe that you have to look at the environment very seriously. So therefore, parents. And finally, the other time at the Cayon bench, this auntie came in and she was crying. I want to tell her about environment and thing, right? I taught the youngster taekwondo, and he was a very good student. He became an adult and he worked in a place that he should carry a good character trait. When he was on the bench, smoking, he was caught with marijuana and he was smoking. I believe maybe 2 parts or so. I believe that he may lose his job if he's convicted, and that shattered his future into another world. And I asked, what happened to you? When I was going CFB, my friends were smoking marijuana. And I decided I thought it looked cool, and I went along, and now I get hooked. He said it's recreational, but I have seen signs where he's hooked. So are you telling me that he was born addict to marijuana? So I'm just asking that question, right? But I just decided I will share that with young people. Right here in CFB, there's an environment that can create changes for you.
True.
You forgot to say something very quick?
Yeah.
Forgot a point at your hand?
Yeah, just one half a second here. But the one made a point, and before we go, we leave here misunderstanding. And the Bible doesn't have to tell us where God is from. Now those who keep, we are enlightened church. Those who keep the commandments are going to have the what? The testimony of Jesus Christ, the spirit of prophecy. And she made a point and saying, listen carefully, there are certain things we don't go behind the scene. God didn't reveal to us. So don't go behind the scene. That's why this church is so enlightened. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You have been a wonderful congregation. We're going to ask Sister Lucille to break the tension with 1 or 2 songs while the judges come forward with a song.